Have you ever noticed how a single presence can change the entire atmosphere of a room? The moment they step inside, without saying a word, it feels as if the air grows heavier, as though invisible hands are pressing down on your shoulders. People laugh a little less, conversations lose their spark, and you find yourself wishing you could leave. That's not coincidence. It's the silent effect of someone who thrives not on connection, but on control. These are not merely negative people having a bad day. No, what you are dealing with is far darker. I call them human demons because their behavior carries a calculated malice that feels inhuman. They don't simply argue, they infect. They don't just lie, they reshape truth until you start questioning your own memory. They smile as they sow doubt, and they wrap cruelty in charms so convincingly that you feel guilty for even suspecting them. The danger lies not in one sharp remark or one bad interaction, but in the slow erosion of your peace. They chip away at your confidence, your clarity, your very sense of reality, until one day you look in the mirror and barely recognize yourself. That's how they win, not by force but by corrosion. And that's why this message matters. I'm going to reveal the 5 unmistakable signs that you are dealing with one of these predators. Each sign is like a piece of armor falling off, leaving you more exposed if you ignore it. Recognize them early, and you'll save yourself years of wasted energy and hidden suffering. Miss them, and you may find yourself trapped in a cycle of manipulation that drains not only your mind, but your soul. If you've ever crossed paths with someone like this, share your story in the comments below. You're not alone in this. And subscribe to True Stoic Way so you never miss the strategies and truths that can protect your peace. Because it all begins with something deceptively simple, a vague, unsettling fatigue that creeps over you after spending time with them. Sign 1. The energy drainers. Being around them feels like running through wet cement. You start the day light on your feet, full of plans, eager to move forward. But an hour in their company, and suddenly you're dragging invisible chains, your shoulders heavy, your mind fogged, your spirit dulled. It's not the kind of tired you feel after a long day of work or exercise. It's a hollow fatigue, the kind that steals your motivation and makes you wonder why you even bothered getting up in the first place. At first you might tell yourself they're just venting, or maybe they've been unlucky. Everyone has rough patches, but you'll notice something strange. It's never just one bad day. Their presence becomes a pattern. The moment you begin to feel excited about life, they are there planting seeds of doubt, painting everything in darker shades. Imagine this. You're sitting with friends, planning a weekend getaway. The mood is light, ideas are flowing, laughter fills the air. Then one voice cuts in, the voice of the energy drainer. Suddenly, it's not about excitement anymore. They warn you about how unsafe travel has become, how expensive it all is, how vacations only lead to fights and disappointment. Within minutes, the spark is gone. What began as joyful anticipation is now laced with anxiety and regret. And worse, you find yourself questioning whether you should go at all. That's the subtle poison they carry. It's not always loud negativity. It's the sly remark, the sigh at the wrong moment, the just being realistic excuse. Slowly, they infect your perspective until your once bright vision is weighed down with shadows. Now here's the part most people don't realize. This isn't just an unlucky clash of personalities. There is actual science behind the way these people drain you. Psychologists call it emotional contagion, the process by which we absorb and mirror each other's emotional states. When you comfort a grieving friend, you share their sorrow, but you also leave them with gratitude and trust. That exchange, though heavy, is still human. It has give and take. With energy drainers, the flow is one-directional. They absorb your compassion, your patience, your attention, but they return nothing. Worse, they feed on the emotional turbulence they create, leaving you frustrated, confused, and unbalanced. Think about how your body responds after one of these encounters. Your head aches, your chest feels tight. You fantasize about disappearing for a week just to recharge. This is your nervous system sounding the alarm. You are being depleted. This is not kindness at work, it's predation. And here's the cruelest twist. They target the kindest among us. They can sense empathy the way sharks sense blood in water. If you're the type who prides yourself on being available for others, They will test your boundaries, little by little. At first, it's late-night calls where they just need to talk. Then, it's the repeated crises they refuse to solve. Soon, you find yourself responsible for their happiness, exhausted from carrying burdens that aren't yours to carry. Seneca once wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The process is a mutual one. Men learn as they teach. That is the essence of Stoic wisdom. True relationships are mutual growth. Even when you support someone in hardship, there is respect, trust, and reciprocity. But with energy predators, that balance doesn't exist. They don't want growth. They want your vitality, your clarity, your willpower, so they can remain stagnant while you diminish. This is why it's not unkind to see them clearly. It's not cruel to acknowledge their behavior as toxic. In fact, it's your responsibility to protect your own health and sanity. Stoicism teaches us that the only true domain we control is our own mind, our choices, our boundaries. And boundaries are exactly what must be set here. What does that look like in practice? Limit exposure. If you consistently leave drained, reduce contact. Protect your mental fortress. Shift the frame. When they spiral into negativity, change the subject, or refuse to feed the drama. Release responsibility. Their happiness is not yours to manage. Don't carry problems they refuse to solve. Recognize the pattern. If you always feel worse after seeing them, trust your body's data. It doesn't lie. Some people think Stoicism means shutting down emotionally, becoming cold, unfeeling. But that's not the case. Stoicism means regulating your emotions with reason, refusing to let manipulation control your inner state. It means practicing compassion, yes, but never martyrdom. It means understanding that while empathy is a strength, unguarded empathy in the hands of a manipulator becomes a leash. So how do you know for sure? The test is simple. Look at how you feel afterward. If every interaction leaves you more tired than before, more doubtful, more ashamed without cause, that's your sign. Your energy is precious. Protect it as you would guard your time, your money, your dreams. Because once lost to an energy drainer, it takes far longer to rebuild than you imagine. And this is where your Stoic discipline comes alive. When you start setting limits, expect resistance. They may accuse you of being selfish, cold, or uncaring. That's because your boundaries deprive them of fuel. Don't fall for the guilt trap. Hold the line. Protect your peace. Wish them well from afar if you must, but never again at the cost of your own well-being. If you've ever met someone who left you feeling heavy-headed and hollow-hearted, comment below with the symbol. Let's recognize them together, so no one in this community has to doubt what's happening to them. And if you're finding value here, remember to subscribe to True Stoic Way. Because the more we learn to see these patterns, the less power they hold over us. And yet, draining your energy is only the first step. Once they've weakened your spirit, they move on to something far more insidious. They begin to tamper with your very perception of reality, leaving you to wonder if your memory, and even your sanity, can be trusted. Sign 2. Gaslighting and reality manipulation. There is a particular kind of confusion that chills you to the bone. You walk away from a conversation certain of what was said. You remember the words, the tone, even the moment you nodded in agreement. Yet somehow, after a few well-placed denials, you begin to wonder if you imagined it all. The ground beneath you shifts. The memory you trusted begins to blur. And the most dangerous part is this. The confusion is not an accident. It is the entire point. This is gaslighting. It is not a simple lie or a misunderstanding. It is a psychological campaign to colonize your reality. By constantly distorting what happened, these manipulators weaken your trust in your own perception until you become dependent on them for the truth. It's one of the most vicious tactics of the human demon, because once they own your perception, they own you. Let me paint this clearly with a story. Imagine Jason, a well-respected entrepreneur who built his company from nothing. He was admired for his vision, his quick decisions, his confidence. But behind closed doors, Jason had a business partner who seemed supportive at first, always nodding in agreement, always assuring him they were aligned. Yet whenever problems arose, the partner denied ever agreeing to the plan. "Jason acted on his own," he would tell investors. "He never consulted me, he's reckless." At first, Jason pushed back. He knew the conversations had happened. He remembered the agreements. But the denials came so often, so smoothly, that doubt crept in. Maybe he had forgotten to clarify. Maybe he was rushing decisions. Investors started questioning his judgment. Team members whispered about his leadership. And Jason himself, once so decisive, began to second-guess everything. He would stay up late replaying conversations, trying to figure out if he was the problem. His confidence cracked. Choices that once took minutes now consumed hours. What Jason experienced was not bad luck or miscommunication. It was deliberate gaslighting. And the cruelty of it is staggering. It doesn't just win an argument, it erodes the very foundation of your mind. Over time, when you're told again and again that you misremember, you stop defending yourself. You apologize for things you never did. You hesitate before speaking. You begin to withdraw from friends who might challenge the abuser's narrative because you no longer trust your own story. Slowly, your reality fractures until the only voice you rely on is theirs, the manipulator who engineered it all. This is why Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. He wasn't blaming the victim, he was pointing to the battlefield. The real war is not in the words exchanged, it is inside your mind. And when someone hijacks your perception of truth, they seize the very thing Stoicism teaches us to guard most carefully, our reasoned judgment. So how do you defend yourself against such a subtle, corrosive attack? First, stop arguing with them. Gaslighters don't care about truth. They care about control. The moment you try to convince them, you've already surrendered to their frame. Instead, end the conversation. Hold to what you know. Second, write things down. Confirm agreements in messages or emails. Create a trail that preserves your memory from their distortions. This isn't paranoia, it's armor. Gaslighters thrive in the fog of uncertainty. Clarity is their enemy. Third, surround yourself with people who tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Friends who will say, "No, you're not crazy, I remember it too." Colleagues who value accountability. Without these anchors, isolation becomes the gaslighter's strongest weapon. And most importantly, rebuild trust in yourself. The aim of gaslighting is to make you doubt your own mind until you hand over authority to someone else. The Stoic answer is to reclaim that authority. Examine the evidence. Compare words to actions. If they never align, stop giving the benefit of the doubt. Accept reality, even if it's painful. Remember, Stoicism doesn't ask you to be naive. It asks you to see clearly. If someone repeatedly bends the past to escape accountability, that is who they are. No amount of patience will change it. Your responsibility is not to fix them, it's to protect your reason. This is not easy work. It means you may have to walk away from people you once trusted. It means enduring the grief of realizing that someone close to you has been waging a quiet war against your clarity. But the alternative is far worse. A life where you no longer know which thoughts are yours and which were planted in your head. If any of this feels familiar, if you've ever left a conversation wondering if you were losing your mind, understand this. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are being targeted. And the fact that you can see it now means you can fight back. Don't keep this truth to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Gaslighting thrives in silence. Exposure is its enemy. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to True Stoic Way so you never miss the tools and insights that keep your mind free. Because these manipulators don't stop at bending your memory. Once they have shaken your sense of reality, they escalate further. They create storms out of nothing, drama out of thin air, so you're never allowed to stand on steady ground. And that's the next sign we must confront, one even more insidious than gaslighting itself. Sign 3, drama creation. Some people stumble into conflict by accident. They misunderstand. They let stress get the better of them, and tempers flare. That's part of being human. But then there are others, the ones who don't merely trip into drama, they manufacture it. For them, chaos is not an occasional storm. It's oxygen. They crave it, nurture it, and feed on it because drama is their most reliable weapon of control. Spend enough time around them and you'll see the pattern. Imagine a group of friends planning an evening together. Laughter, inside jokes, easy conversation. And then, just a few carefully chosen words from one person, delivered with casual innocence. Suddenly, two friends are at each other's throats. Or picture the coworker who waits until the moment before a big presentation to mutter something critical, just sharp enough to throw you into a spiral of self-doubt. Or the family member who always seems to bring up old wounds right when you're most vulnerable. Holidays, funerals, milestones, times when you least have the energy to defend yourself. These are not accidents, they know exactly what they're doing. The drama is deliberate, and what makes it so effective is their skill at disguise. When you finally call them out, they act bewildered. What? I didn't mean anything by it. You're being too sensitive. They wear innocence like armor, knowing it makes you doubt your reaction. Meanwhile, they're secretly enjoying the spectacle, collecting emotional reactions like trophies on a shelf. The hallmark of the drama creator is timing. They seem to have a sixth sense for when people are tired, stressed, insecure, or already on edge. That's when they strike, because that's when you're least able to resist. They plant their seed at the exact moment you can't defend yourself, then sit back and watch it grow into conflict. And you know what's worst? At first, you'll make excuses for them. They didn't mean it. That's just their personality. They're going through a lot. But then, if you step back, you'll notice a trail of destruction following them everywhere they go. Groups splinter, teams stop functioning, families fracture, and somehow they always emerge untouched, positioned as the one person who can help or mediate. The arsonist who sets fire to the house, then shows up with a bucket of water and a sympathetic smile. This is the strategy of the drama addict. Destabilize the people around them so they remain the center of attention. When you're busy defending yourself, you're not questioning them. When everyone else is arguing, they're safe in the shadows, quietly pulling strings. So how does Stoicism answer this? By reminding us of the simplest but hardest truth. We cannot control other people, only our response. And the most powerful response to a drama creator is refusal. Refusal to play the part they've written for you. Refusal to let your emotions be their fuel. Refusal to join the chaos that sustains them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not become like the wrongdoer." Applied here, it means this. The best way to strip them of power is to decline the role they've cast you in. If they want you angry, stay calm. If they want you defensive, stay silent. If they want you desperate to explain yourself, walk away. This doesn't mean passivity. It means strategic withdrawal. It means recognizing the game and refusing to lend it legitimacy. Drama creators thrive when you react. Starve them of reaction, and they wither. In practice, that looks like walking away from provocations. If they throw a barbed comment before your big meeting, don't take the bait. Let your results speak louder than their words. Choosing silence. When they stir up conflict at family gatherings, don't explain, don't defend, don't argue. Withdraw the fuel. Setting boundaries. Make it clear, by your actions, not your words, that you won't be available for their chaos. Distance is often the clearest language. Yes, it's difficult. Part of you will want to prove your innocence or reason with them, but you must accept that their aim is not truth. Their aim is disruption. The moment you engage, you've already lost. If you recognize this in your own life, someone who lights fires then steps back to watch, hit the like button on this video. Not only does it help spread the warning, it signals to others in this community that they are not alone in seeing the pattern. Here's the liberating realization. Once you know drama is their weapon, you stop taking it personally. You see the fights and divisions not as random misfortune, but as deliberate strategy. That clarity gives you freedom. You no longer waste energy questioning your worth or defending against false accusations. You conserve your strength for building, for living, for those who value peace. And slowly, you begin to notice something remarkable. When you refuse to feed the fire, the smoke clears. You can see for the first time who truly respects your boundaries and who constantly tests them, who thrives on calm and who thrives on conflict. Knowledge becomes power. Drama, once understood, loses its grip. And that's when you can finally choose who deserves space in your circle and who belongs firmly outside it. But don't be fooled into thinking this is the end of their tricks. When chaos and conflict fail to break you, they escalate again. Their next move is darker still. They set their sights on the very bonds that hold your life together, your friendships, your family ties, your trust in the people closest to you. And that's where we must go next. Sign 4. Systematic relationship destruction. Some predators don't just drain your energy. They don't just twist your memory or manufacture chaos. Their ambition runs deeper. They want to dismantle the very web of trust that keeps you safe, the bonds between you and the people you love. And they don't do it recklessly. They do it with precision, calculation, and patience. At first, they appear as the perfect confidant. They listen closely. They nod with empathy. They invite you to share your struggles, your doubts, your secrets. It feels safe. You think you found someone who truly understands you. But what you don't see is the ledger they are keeping. Every confession, every insecurity, every piece of private truth stored like ammunition. Then slowly, those secrets begin to leak. Not all at once, not obviously. Just enough to sow suspicion. You tell them in confidence that you're worried about a friend's drinking. Soon, that friend hears you've been talking behind their back. You admit you're unsure about your job, and suddenly your boss treats you like a traitor. These things don't just happen. Someone sets them in motion, domino by domino, waiting for the collapse. And when the collapse comes, when friends stop talking, when families fracture, they are never at the center. No, they stand at the sidelines with wide eyes and a sad shake of the head, as if they're just as shocked as everyone else. They might even offer to mediate, to help, all while continuing to fuel the very fires they lit. This is divide and conquer in its purest form. By turning allies into enemies, by dripping poison into your closest bonds, they leave you isolated. Alone, you're easier to control. And that is their ultimate goal. It's chilling when you see it clearly. Because these manipulators are not sloppy gossips. They don't spread rumors at random. They target. They figure out who is insecure, who is jealous, who is already carrying resentment, and they whisper just enough to make the wound bleed. A sly remark about someone's honesty, a throwaway comment about loyalty. Soon, doubt takes root, and once doubt blooms, trust dies. And you, their real target, are left confused, wondering why everyone seems distant, suspicious, cold. You replay conversations trying to pinpoint what went wrong. But the truth is, what went wrong was never between you and your friends or family. It was orchestrated. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That is the Stoic answer here. The temptation will be to fight fire with fire, to expose them by gossiping back, to spread your own counter-narrative. But the moment you do, you become like them. And in that moment, you lose. The way forward is harder but cleaner. Choose integrity over drama. Stop handing them weapons. Stop confiding in those who have shown they cannot be trusted. Draw sharp boundaries around what you share and with whom. And when you realize that someone thrives on division, don't give them another opportunity to use your words against you. This will not be easy. When you withdraw your trust, they will escalate. They'll try to provoke you into overreacting so you look paranoid. They'll insist they're the only one who truly cares about you. They'll push harder because isolation is their lifeline. Your job is to stay calm, to hold the line, to protect your peace. Think about it this way. Every minute you spend entangled in their schemes is a minute stolen from your own life. The Stoics remind us that our time and energy are finite. Why waste them playing a game designed only to keep you confused? Choose instead to conserve your strength for relationships that are real, honest, and mutual. Let me ask you, who in your life has consistently proven themselves trustworthy? Who has stood by you not just in your triumphs, but in your failures? Write their name in the comments below. Let's remind ourselves and each other that loyalty and trust still exist, that not everyone plays games with our hearts. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to recognize who is truly worthy of their confidence. Because once you see the pattern of systematic destruction, you can't unsee it. You'll begin to notice who always seems to be at the center of broken friendships. who mysteriously knows too much about everyone's private lives, who smiles sympathetically while entire groups fall apart. And once you see it, you can choose differently. You can refuse to let them weaponize your secrets. You can choose to build relationships on integrity, not manipulation. But know this, even if you cut them off, the scars of betrayal run deep. There is grief in realizing someone you trusted was orchestrating your isolation. There is pain in stepping back from people you once called family or friend. Yet the alternative is worse. Years lost in confusion, trapped in webs spun by someone who never cared for you, only for control. So guard your trust as carefully as you guard your time. Be deliberate about who you let into your inner circle. And remember, if someone is always in the middle of conflict, if whispers follow them like shadows, if every secret shared becomes a weapon, pay attention. That is not coincidence. That is design. And design this dark always has one final move. Because after draining your energy, warping your reality, creating chaos, and shattering your bonds, there's one last blow they strike. Not against your friends, not against your family, but against you. They go for the heart of it all. Your confidence, your potential, your belief in yourself. Sign 5. Attacking confidence and potential. Think back to the last time you shared something you were proud of. Maybe it was small but meaningful. A project you finally finished. A personal goal you achieved. A dream you were beginning to chase. You expected encouragement, maybe even celebration. But instead, you were met with a smirk, a dismissive comment, a list of reasons why it would never work. The excitement drained from your chest, replaced with unease. That's not support. That's sabotage disguised as concern. This is the 5th and final sign of the human demon, the relentless campaign to crush your confidence and strangle your potential. They don't come at you with knives or fists. They strike with words, with tones, with perfectly timed doubts. And over time, those doubts carve deeper wounds than any physical blow could. Picture this. You tell someone you're thinking of moving to a new city, starting fresh, chasing a dream you've held quietly for years. Instead of asking what excites you, instead of cheering you on, they shake their head. You'll hate it there. You'll end up broke. You'll be lonely. You're foolish to even try. At first you laugh it off, but later, lying awake at night, their words echo louder than your own hope. You wonder if you're naive. You start believing maybe you shouldn't go at all. Or imagine finishing a novel after months of stolen hours, or planning a trip to see the world. You share it, glowing with pride, only to hear, "That's unrealistic. That's a waste of time. Don't get your hopes up." Little by little, joy turns to shame. Ambition shrinks into hesitation. And eventually, you stop trying. That is their goal. To keep you small, hesitant, dependent, because your growth threatens them. Your courage exposes their fear. Your success highlights their stagnation. Instead of rising with you, they drag you down, convincing you that your wings are useless before you ever learn to fly. And they're clever about it. They don't scream, "You'll fail." They cloak it in phrases that sound like care. "I'm just being realistic. I don't want to see you get hurt. I'm only telling you this because I love you." But if you listen closely, you'll hear the truth. They never once tell you why you can, only why you can't. Real support gives perspective but leaves you stronger. Their words leave you smaller. The damage is insidious. One mocking laugh here, one sarcastic joke there. Over years, their voice becomes the voice in your head. You stop applying for opportunities. You settle for jobs, relationships, lives that don't serve you. Not because you lack ability, but because you've been convinced you don't deserve more. Chrysippus, one of the early Stoics, warned, "The wise man will be safe from fools, for he will take care not to associate with them." Wisdom lies in choosing your company carefully. Because voices matter, the wrong voices will poison your inner dialogue until you no longer recognize your own strength. So what's the Stoic answer to dream killers? First, recognition. Call them what they are. Don't excuse it as tough love. Don't confuse their criticism with honesty. If every word they give you is designed to shrink you, they are not mentors, not friends, not family. They are chains. Second, Withdraw your energy. Stop offering them the fuel of your ambitions to burn. Share your dreams with people who celebrate them, even the small ones. Surround yourself with those who challenge you honestly, but never cruelly, who tell you the truth, but still believe in your potential. Third, reclaim your inner voice. Stoicism teaches that the only judgment that truly matters is your own, guided by reason. When someone tries to define your worth, measure their claim against your evidence. Have you achieved before? Have you endured before? Have you grown before? Then you are capable. No amount of cynicism changes that. And finally, walk away. This is the hardest step because it may mean leaving behind people you love, people who feel familiar. But peace is impossible when every dream you speak is trampled underfoot. Walking away isn't betrayal, it's survival. Now imagine this. What would your life look like if you hadn't listened to them? What chances would you have taken? Who would you have become? That future isn't lost. It's waiting. But you must choose it. So let's choose together. If you're ready to step away from the voices that belittle your dreams, if you're ready to free yourself from the chains of their doubt, type this in the comments right now. I choose peace. That declaration is not just words, it's a line in the sand. A choice to protect your mind, your hopes, your future. Because once you recognize this final sign, the cage is fully revealed. And now comes the real question. What will you do with this truth? Will you stay in the prison of their voices? Or will you reclaim your strength and step back into the life that's been waiting for you all along? You've now seen the 5 signs in full: the draining of your energy, the twisting of your reality, the orchestration of chaos, the sabotage of your relationships, and the crushing of your confidence. Each one is dangerous on its own, but together they form a chain, a system of psychological traps designed to keep you small, isolated, and controlled. This is the true nature of the human demon. They don't strike with one blow. They chip away piece by piece until you no longer notice how much of yourself you've lost. That's why recognition is everything. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Once you know the game, you can refuse to play. The Stoics remind us that peace is not found in the absence of conflict. It's found in sovereignty of the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength is your shield. It is the choice to protect your inner citadel, no matter how cunning the assault may be. So let this be your turning point. Do not let anyone shrink your life to fit their fears. Do not hand over your potential to those who can't bear to see you grow. Do not let your dreams die in the shadows of their doubts. You have one life. Do not live it in chains. And I want this to be more than words. Make it a declaration. If you're ready to draw the line, show it. Subscribe to True Stoic Way so you never miss another lesson in building unshakable strength. Like this video if you've decided to protect your peace by setting firm boundaries. Comment below with your story, because your experience may be the very key someone else needs to finally break free. And share this message with someone who might be caught in the same web. You could save them years of pain. Picture it, your mind as a fortress, its walls tall and unyielding. The storms of manipulation may rage outside, but inside, the flame of your clarity and purpose burns steady. From this place of strength, you choose carefully who is allowed through the gates. Not everyone deserves entry. Some belong outside, no matter how charming their smile or convincing their words. Within your fortress, you reserve space only for those who bring light, not shadows, for those who build, not destroy. That is the Stoic way, to stand firm in reason, to guard the peace of your soul, and to open the door only to relationships that lift you higher. So the choice is yours. Stay blind, and the traps will tighten. See clearly, and the chains dissolve. Protect your mind, honor your dreams, and trust your intuition. Because deep down, you already know who is real and who is poison. This is your moment. Guard your peace, build your fortress, and never again let anyone steal the life that was meant to be yours.